What happens when a devout actor known for his faith-driven roles faces off against daytime TV's most outspoken skeptic? Jonathan Roumie thought he was stepping onto The View to promote his latest project, a powerful series about early Christianity. But what erupted was a fiery clash that left the audience stunned, producers scrambling, and social media in a frenzy. This wasn't just a promotional segment gone wrong. It was a battle over belief, conviction, and the role of faith in public life that shook the studio to its core. Hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts below, because this showdown only gets more intense, and you won't believe how it unfolds. Jonathan Roumie walked onto the View set, greeted by a wave of applause from the audience, ready to discuss his role as Jesus in The Chosen, a series that had captured millions with its heartfelt portrayal of faith. Joy Behar, the host, welcomed him with her usual sharp wit, but her tone carried a challenge, hinting at a confrontation brewing beneath the surface. The segment began with a question about his career, but it quickly spiraled into a heated debate about religion, atheism, and the place of faith in Hollywood. "Welcome to The View, Jonathan. It's great to have you here," Joy said, her voice laced with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "So you're playing Jesus, quite a role, but I've got to ask, do you really think people need another show pushing religion in 2025? Jonathan leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "I think people need stories that inspire hope, Joy. The Chosen isn't about pushing anything. It's about showing love, compassion, and the human side of faith that resonates across beliefs." Joy smirked, raising an eyebrow. "Love and compassion, sure. But let's be real. Isn't this just preaching to the choir, another Christian show for people who already buy into the whole Bible thing?" The audience shifted, sensing the edge in her words, as Jonathan responded, not missing a beat. "It's for anyone open to a story about humanity, Joy, not just Christians. We've got viewers from all walks of life, atheists included, who connect with the message of forgiveness." Joy chuckled, her tone mocking. "Forgiveness, that's cute. But don't you think religion's been used more to control people than to forgive them? I mean, look at history. Crusades, witch hunts, all that jazz." Jonathan's voice stayed steady. "History's got its dark spots, Joy. But faith has also built hospitals, schools, charities. It's not just one side. And The Chosen tries to show the good, the part that brings people together." Joy leaned in, her voice sharp. "Together, really, because I see a lot of division. People using religion to judge others, to push laws, to tell people how to live. Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical, playing Jesus while supporting that?" The audience murmured, caught off guard by the jab as Jonathan countered, "I don't support judgment. I support love, and my role is to portray a man who challenged hypocrisy, not added to it. Maybe you're projecting a bit, Joy, assuming everyone with faith is out to control others." Joy's eyes flashed. "Oh, I'm projecting, am I? Because I seem to recall you saying in an interview that Hollywood's too secular, too afraid of faith. Sounds like you're the one judging us non-believers. Care to explain that?" Jonathan kept his cool. "I said Hollywood often shies away from authentic faith stories. Not that it's evil. There's room for all perspectives. But when you mock belief, like you're doing now, you're shutting down half your audience, not engaging them." Joy laughed, a harsh sound. "Shutting down, Jonathan. I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what journalists do? Or do you only like questions that make you look good?" The audience tensed, sensing the shift to confrontation, as Jonathan replied, "Questions are great, Joy, but yours sound more like accusations. I came here to talk about a show that's touched millions, not to defend my beliefs against your biases." Joy's voice rose. "Biases, that's rich. Coming from someone whose whole career is built on playing a religious figure, don't you think it's a bit convenient, wrapping yourself in faith to sell your brand?" Jonathan shook his head. "My brand, Joy, is telling stories that matter. I've played all kinds of roles, from crime dramas to comedies. But The Chosen is special because it's about hope, not division. Maybe you'd get it if you watched it, instead of assuming it's just propaganda." Joy scoffed. "Propaganda's exactly what it looks like. Another show telling people they need Jesus to be good. Don't you think that's a little outdated in a world that's moved past fairy tales? The audience gasped, the jab landing hard, as Jonathan responded, his voice firm but calm. Outdated, joy, love, sacrifice, compassion. Those aren't fairy tales, they're universal. And if you think mocking them is progress, you're missing the point of what connects us all. Joy leaned back, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Connects us, sure, but let's talk about the real world. Jonathan, where religion's often a tool for power, not connection. Don't you think it's naive to pretend otherwise? Jonathan's voice grew sharper. Naive? No. I think it's naive to dismiss millions of people's beliefs as a power grab. Faith isn't about control. It's about meaning, and maybe if you stopped caricaturing it, you'd see why people turn to it. Joy's smile turned cold. Caricaturing. I'm just calling it like I see it. You're out here playing Jesus, acting like you've got all the answers. But what about the harm religion's done? The wars, the hate. You can't just ignore that. Jonathan countered. I don't ignore it, I acknowledge it. But I also see the good. The communities, the hope. You're cherry-picking the bad to fit your narrative, Joy. That's not truth, that's agenda. The audience clapped softly, some nodding. As Joy's voice pitched higher, agenda. You're one to talk. Your whole show is an agenda. Pushing Christianity on people who just want entertainment, not a sermon. Jonathan shook his head, his voice steady. The Chosen isn't a sermon, it's a story. And stories don't force you to believe anything. They invite you to think, to feel, something you seem more interested in shutting down than exploring. Joy's face flushed. Oh, I'm shutting you down, am I? Because I'm asking you to face the reality of what religion does, not just the rosy picture you're selling. The segment was spiraling, the audience caught in the crossfire, as Jonathan replied, You're not asking, Joy. You're attacking, and it's not just me. It's anyone who dares to believe in something bigger than themselves. That's not journalism, that's prejudice. The crowd murmured, the tension building to a breaking point. As Joy prepared to fire back, the stage set for a clash that would only get uglier. Joy Behar pushes her attack, her voice sharp and biting. So you're out here playing Jesus, Jonathan, telling everyone to love thy neighbor. But isn't that just a fancy way of selling old-school dogma to a modern audience? Jonathan Roumie, unfazed, fires back with conviction. It's not dogma, Joy. It's a story about human connection. The Chosen shows people wrestling with doubt, pain, hope. Just like today, you'd know that if you gave it a chance instead of dismissing it as a fairy tale. Joy scoffs, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Oh, I've seen enough. It's all halos and miracles. Preaching to people who already drink the Kool-Aid. Don't you think it's a bit self-serving, wrapping yourself in spirituality to boost your career? Jonathan shakes his head, his voice steady, self-serving. No. I've taken roles from gritty cop shows to sci-fi. But this one's different. It's about meaning, not money. Something you seem to struggle understanding when you mock faith for laughs. The crowd stirs, some clapping softly, as Joy's voice rises, mocking faith. I'm just keeping it real. Religion's been dividing people for centuries, and you're out here romanticizing it. Don't you think that's a little irresponsible? Jonathan counters, his words firm. Irresponsible is reducing faith to a punchline. Joy, you talk about division, but you're the one drawing lines, dismissing millions of people's beliefs as a joke. That's not real, it's lazy. Joy's laugh cuts through the air. Lazy, that's rich. Coming from someone whose whole shtick is playing a saint. Tell me, Jonathan, how's it feel to profit off a 2,000-year-old myth while the rest of us live in the real world? The audience shifts, some exchanging glances, as Jonathan responds, his tone unwavering. Myth or not, the story of Jesus is about sacrifice, about standing up for what's right, even when people like you try to tear it down. My profit is seeing people find hope. What's yours, Joy? Getting applause for being cynical? Joy's voice sharpens. Cynical. I call it honest. Your show pushes a narrative that everyone needs religion to be good. That's not hope. That's manipulation. Care to defend that? Jonathan doesn't flinch. Manipulation. No. The Chosen shows people making choices, questioning, growing. It's not about forcing belief. It's about asking questions. Something you seem afraid to do without an agenda. Joy presses harder, her words laced with disdain. Questions. Please, you're not asking questions. You're selling answers. Telling people they need a savior to fix their lives. Don't you think that's a bit arrogant, acting like you've got the truth? Jonathan's voice grows sharper. Arrogant. Joy. What's arrogant is assuming you know what millions of viewers take from a story you haven't even watched. I'm not selling answers. I'm portraying a man who challenged power, who lifted up the broken. Maybe you're uncomfortable with that, because it doesn't fit your narrative. The crowd reacts, some cheering, as Joy snaps back. Narrative, you're one to talk. Your whole career's built on this Jesus role. It's a brand, admit it. You're not out here saving souls, you're selling them. Jonathan shakes his head, his voice calm but cutting. Selling souls? No. I'm telling stories that touch hearts. I've met fans, atheists, Christians, Muslims, who say the Chosen made them think, not obey. You'd rather mock that than understand it, and that's your loss, Joy. Joy's tone turns icy. Loss? Hardly. I'm not the one peddling fairy tales to make people feel better about their problems. Religion's been fleecing people for ages, and you're just the latest salesman, right? Jonathan responds, his voice steady. Fleecing. That's what you think faith is, Joy, but I've seen it build communities. Feed the hungry, comfort the hurting. You can call it a fairy tale, but I call it real, more real than your cheap shots on this stage. The audience claps louder, some standing, as Joy fires back. Cheap shots. I'm just asking you to face reality. Your show's a bubble for people who can't handle the world without an imaginary friend. Don't you think it's time we grew up? Jonathan's words cut deep. Grow up. Joy. Growing up means respecting what gives people meaning, not tearing it down to feel superior. You're not challenging me. You're challenging everyone who finds strength in faith. And that's a fight you're not ready for. Joy's voice rises, almost shrill. A fight? Oh, I'm ready, Jonathan. I've been calling out nonsense like this my whole career. Religion's a crutch. And you're profiting off people's weakness. That's the truth you don't want to hear. Jonathan stands, his voice ringing with conviction. Weakness? No. Faith is strength. It's what gets people through loss, through pain. I've seen it in fans, in their letters, their tears. You can mock it, but you can't erase it, and you're only showing how small your world is by trying. The crowd roars, some shouting support, as Joy snaps. Small. My world's big enough to see through your act. You're not Jesus, you're an actor, so stop pretending you're saving the world. Jonathan steps forward, his voice unwavering. I'm not pretending, Joy. I'm portraying a truth bigger than me. Bigger than you. And if you can't handle that, maybe you're the one hiding behind an act, not me. Joy's face tightens, her words venomous. Hiding, please. I'm out here every day telling it like it is, while you're playing dress up with a halo. Don't you think people deserve better than recycled myths? Jonathan's response is sharp. Better? Like what? Your cynicism. Your show thrives on tearing people down, not lifting them up. I'd rather play a myth that inspires than a cynic who divides. The audience erupts, some booing Joy, others cheering Jonathan, as she shouts, divides. You're the one dividing, pushing your Christian agenda on everyone. Admit it. You want everyone to think like you. Jonathan's voice cuts through. I want people to think for themselves, Joy. Something you're making hard with your attacks. You invited me here to talk, but all you're doing is preaching your own gospel. And it's not a pretty one. The segment teeters on the edge, Joy preparing to deliver a final blow, the crowd holding its breath, the outcome still uncertain. Joy Behar fires another salvo, her voice crackling with defiance. So you think you're some kind of martyr, Jonathan, standing up for faith while the rest of us are just heathens, is that it? Jonathan Roumie, standing firm at the edge of the view's set, responds with unwavering clarity. No, Joy, I'm no martyr. I'm just an actor telling a story. But you're making this about me when it's really about your need to attack anyone who believes differently. That's not truth. It's just noise. The audience claps loudly, some shouting encouragement. As Joy snaps back, noise please, I'm giving people clarity. Your show's the one selling fairy tales, telling people they need a savior to fix their messy lives. Don't you think that's a bit condescending? Jonathan shakes his head, his voice steady and piercing. Condescending? No. What's condescending is you dismissing millions of people's faith as a crutch. The Chosen doesn't tell people what to think. It shows them hope, love, struggle. Things you seem to fear more than you understand. Joy's tone sharpens. Fear. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm calling out hypocrisy. You're out here playing Jesus, acting holy, while the rest of us deal with real-world problems, not your biblical fantasies. Jonathan steps closer, his words cutting deep. Real-world problems, Joy. Faith helps people face those. I've met fans who've lost everything, jobs, families, health, and found strength in stories like The Chosen. You mock that. You're mocking their resilience, not mine. The crowd roars, some standing in support. As Joy fires back, resilience, sure. But don't you think it's convenient, using religion to dodge accountability? You're selling hope like it's a product, and people are buying it without questioning. Jonathan's voice rises, not dodging anything. Joy, I'm here answering your attacks. But you're not questioning, you're judging. You invited me to talk about my work, then turned it into a sermon against faith. That's not hosting, that's bullying. Joy laughs. A harsh bark. Bullying, that's rich. I'm just doing my job. Exposing the flaws in your whole saintly act. Don't you think people deserve to know who they're really cheering for? Jonathan counters. They know me, Joy. Through my work, my choices, I don't hide. But you hide behind cynicism, tearing down what you don't get instead of engaging with it. That's not exposure, it's fear of something bigger than you. Joy's voice turns venomous. Bigger than me. Please, your Jesus story's just a relic. A way to keep people obedient. Don't you think it's time we moved past that? Let people think for themselves. Jonathan's response is swift. Think for themselves. That's what The Chosen encouraged, showing people questioning, doubting, choosing. You'd see that if you watched it, but you'd rather mock it to score points. That's not progress, Joy. It's just petty. The audience cheers, some booing Joy as she shouts, petty. I'm protecting people from being fed lies. Your show's a fantasy for people who can't handle reality. Admit it. You're pushing an agenda. Jonathan stands taller, his voice ringing with conviction. Agenda? No, I'm sharing a story, one that's lasted 2,000 years because it speaks to the heart. You're the one with an agenda, Joy, turning faith into a punchline to keep your audience clapping like trained seals. The crowd erupts, some chanting his name. As Joy's face twists, you're calling my audience seals. How dare you? I give them truth, while you're out here playing prophet for profit. That's the real scam. Jonathan shakes his head, his words sharp. Scam? No, Joy. The scam is you pretending this is about truth when it's about your ego. I came here to talk about a show that's touched millions, and you've turned it into a witch hunt. Shame on you for that. The audience roars louder, some shouting, shame, as Joy snaps, shame on me. You're the one peddling myths, acting like you're above us all. Why don't you just admit your show's a glorified sermon? Jonathan's voice cuts through. I'll admit it's a story about love, sacrifice, hope, things you seem allergic to. Joy, you want to talk truth? Then talk about why you're so afraid of people finding meaning in something you don't control. Joy's voice cracks. Afraid? I'm not afraid. I'm fed up with people like you pushing religion on everyone. Thinking you're morally superior. That's what's wrong with this country. Jonathan responds, morally superior? No, I'm just trying to do good, to tell stories that lift people up. You're the one acting superior, dismissing faith like it's garbage. That's not journalism, Joy. It's arrogance. Joy's final blow comes, her voice shrill. Arrogance, please. Go back to your set and play Jesus. Leave the real talk to those of us who live in reality, not your holy bubble. Jonathan's eyes flash, his voice calm but devastating. Reality, Joy. My reality is meeting fans who found hope through faith, who've rebuilt their lives. You call that a bubble, I call it truth. And you're too blinded by your own bias to see it. I'm done here, not because you're right, but because I won't waste my breath on someone who'd rather mock than listen. He turns to leave, the audience exploding in applause, some shouting, "Go, Jonathan!" As Joy shouts after him, "Run away then, typical, you can't handle the heat. Get off my show, this is my house, and I decide who stays." Jonathan pauses, turning back, his voice steady, "Your house, Joy. But you've just shown everyone in it who you are. A bully who'd rather tear down than build up. I'm leaving because I respect myself too much to play your game. But I hope your audience remembers this, who tried to talk, and who just attacked." Jonathan walks off, the crowd cheering wildly, as Joy stands frozen, her voice faltering as she tries to pivot. "All right, we'll be right back, let's take a break." But the damage is done. The cameras capture her forced smile, the producers scrambling to cut to commercial. As social media ignites with clips of the clash, hashtags like #JonathanVS Joy trending within minutes. Fans praise Roumie's grace, his defensive faith, while critics slam Behar for turning a promotional segment into a personal vendetta, her mockery of Christianity backfiring spectacularly. News outlets run headlines, "Jonathan Roumie shamas Joy Behar in epic view showdown." As viral posts declare, Roumie just proved faith can win without hate. Behar's team releases a weak statement about spirited debate, but the backlash grows, viewers questioning her authenticity, her once sharp wit now seen as mean-spirited. Roumie stays silent, letting his exit speak, his dignity intact, his message resonating with millions. The clash becomes a cultural touchstone, a reminder that faith, when defended with heart, can triumph over cynicism, leaving Behar to face the wreckage of her own hubris, while Roumie emerges not just as an actor, but as a voice for hope, proving that truth shines brightest when it's spoken with conviction.
Thank you for watching our channel Modern Stories. If you liked our video, you should subscribe for more amazing videos like this. Have a healthy and happy day. See you in the next one.